1 year ago today, the city of Fort McMurray was engulfed in one of the greatest natural disasters and evacuations in Canadian history. It's a crisis that's difficult to imagine, and that we know the city is still rebuilding and rebounding from. We are honored to have one of that city's school leaders with us this evening to share his story of that event. Please welcome Mr. Scott Barr.
Hello everyone. I have a few notes written here. My wife always laughs when I'm given a microphone. She says I just go on and on, so it's probably good that there's a coffee use or anything. So
a pretty heavy topic, I know. It was quite a day a year ago. I'm going to start by saying I did not lose my house. I was lucky enough to not be that. The fire burnt about 40 feet behind my house, and then the wind shifted, and it turned to made an L shape and went through about 5 blocks away from me. So 80 homes around me were lost. But our street was somehow a little bit lucky. It really was just a matter of luck, but I'll get more into that as we go through the story. The first thing I know, when Liam first asked me to do this, I'm not a public speaker, I'm a principal of school, and I do enjoy talking, but that's because I teach junior high as well, so I'm slightly insane, but that's okay. But he said, send me a headshot, and so I'm like, okay, well I've got a couple of good ones, so I said, oh here we go, we're gonna roll here, we got a little bit of a PowerPoint. I don't know if this will work very well. Look at that, there it is. Look at that one. So I really missed that hair. So it's like, what is like the elephant in the room? I'm going to show up. I'm like, who's this guy on the stage? That wasn't who I came to see. Well, you could have got this guy. Or this one. Those are all me. Or this one. That's like the Chad Kroger look at the bottom. So every year I grow my hair out for different things at the school. I'm very big about relationships at school and doing stuff with kids that they'll remember, because I don't remember my principals and vice principals at all. I have pretty negative memories of school, to be honest, and I really got into it to be, one of my quotes I really like is be who you needed as a child. And so I was a student, and that's who I've kind of done. So we do this fundraising every year where I grow my hair out, and then whichever class raises the most money gets to pick my hair, and I wear these for a week. Now, this look here, in the context of the school, the kids get it. So when I'm filling up for gas, though, like this one I wasn't allowed by any other schools. So I mean, it's an interesting thing, but just to give you a bit of context of where I'm coming from, and this is the kind of stuff I like to do with kids and be a part of their day, because I am about building relationships. And so here's our school. I'm a big fan of saying our, because it's not my school, it's our school. We are 700 students. It's just 789, grade 789. It's a fantastic building. I was the principal the day we opened. I helped build this school and name it. So I've been the principal since day one. And we were 5 schools coming together into one. So we used to go K to 8, 9 to 12. And when this school opened, our district switched from K to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 12. So I was in charge, or part of, bringing together a culture of what I thought was needed at the junior high level. And junior high students are very unique. Every day is different. I love them to death. But it becomes more about the relationship if you want to do anything. So when Liam sent me the thing about this presentation, it was a perfect fit for me around a pretty heavy topic, obviously. But that's just a little bit about our school. It's really become our home away from home. We talk about family a lot there, and our school is our family. And that has been our rule all along. So for 5.5 years, we lived and breathed that. And then May the 3rd happened. So these pictures are actually from my house. This is out the front window of my house. And this was May 2nd, actually. So this fire was burning the day before. When we woke up May 3rd, actually, this was clear that smoke was all gone. We thought it had calmed down, so we didn't think much about it beyond that. But there's I'm a big martial art. I'm in martial arts quite a bit. I've been for 30 years. And there's a great quote by Mike Tyson from boxing that says, you don't know what you know until you've been punched in the face. Then you find out what you know. And to me, that was kind of what we went through that day. We were all about relationships. I'm very much about my staff buying into that extracurricular. They believe that school is more than just what goes on in the classroom. Okay, now what happens? So May the 3rd happens, and these are some of the scenes. So these are my own pictures. This is not stock photography. Some of them later are, but these ones are mine. So this was taken by my wife as she drove towards our house to spend 10 minutes determining what would be the most important things to take from your house. So take a second and think about that. You run into your house and you've got 10 minutes maybe, because this is a wall of 60 feet of flame coming towards your house. 10 minutes to get what you need to get out. Now, while this was, and my wife's a teacher too. She's only half-time, so she was off around lunchtime and was able to make it to our house to go grab some stuff. Now, these pictures are at my school, or at our school. So our school was nowhere near any of the fire actually, but you can see how, this is the middle of the day too, this is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so these plumes of smoke came in. So that day started out very normal on May the 3rd. We were, it was a beautiful day actually, it was very warm, and I had supervision at lunchtime outside. I go outside every day for supervision, and on the field, and then right halfway through lunch hour, I see some new plumes of smoke coming up in different areas. I'm like, something's going on in there. So we come back into the school, and sure enough, we start hearing some more things about how the school, how the city's starting to be a bit more nervous, and certain areas are being evacuated. And there's just some more pictures from up on the roof. So parents are starting to show up at the school now. For those of you that have hour 0, if your teacher's here, or something we have in Murray in our public schools about when there's a crisis. So we held a shelter in place in our schools, so students were in their rooms and not to be released. So we had 700 kids at the school, 680, and we had to control that exit. So our entire city was being evacuated, and we needed to do it in a way that we knew where every kid was. So that relationship piece, so you can imagine sitting in front of your class of 30, and who are with their phones out and they're texting their parents, they know what's going on, and they can't just leave. You're not a teacher anymore. That relationship piece becomes the most important thing you're doing. You have to connect it with your kids, or they're going to panic and they're going to leave. So myself and the 2 vice principals were at the front of the school with our vests on, and we were kind of crowd control. So we had parents lined up, and they had to sign their kid out. We would call their kid on the intercom, and they would come down. And it evolved as we were going as well, and into different ways to speed it up and stuff like that. And parents, for the most part, were very good. A lot of parents coming in saying, "Oh, we're," because I'm standing in the front. So just, these are people I know. These are friends. My kids are junior high age, so these people I know outside of school. And they're saying, "Well, where's your house? Is your house okay?" And I said, "Well, it's right by the golf course." And they're like, "Well, the golf course is gone." Okay, I can't do anything about that right now. I can't even worry about my house. I'm worried about these 700 kids, because this is all we sing. And this is the one quote, you won't see many words up here, because I'm not a big fan of putting words on PowerPoint. But really, where in the curriculum is it how to deal with 700 students leaving the school and having a whole city evacuated, and the emotions that come with that. And then staff having to make a choice who have children in another school. Imagine that for a second. I was lucky enough both my children go to my school, or go to our school. So while I didn't actually see my kids till around 5:30 that night, I knew they were around. I knew that they had been at school with me earlier in the day, so I knew that they would come to be. And what was created out of this was a sense of family almost, of the people in the school. So we got all those kids out, and they were shuffled off, but it was really Carmageddon, for lack of a better word, around the school and the whole city, because everyone was trying to leave. And so we stayed. Like I had to stay because we had kids who couldn't get picked up because their parents were stuck in traffic. So by about 4:35 o'clock, we had 35 students still. And my wife was still not there. She was still trying to get to us from our house. But we had these kids, and so they would slowly peter out. By about 7 o'clock that night, we were down to about 4 students who didn't have families yet with them. And so we had about 30 people at the school, because some people came there because it was a safe spot to be, right? So they came there to have, just to, because the air was clean and it was quiet. You could wait, and your car didn't have to be running the whole time while you're waiting for cars to clean. So about 30 of us, but then the reality set in that we had to figure out, what are you going to do? Like, we have to feed, we have to eat, it's dinner time. And we have little kids there, because some people brought their families. So we, as I said, we became a family. So here's some pictures. This is not OH&S compliant here. this is on the roof. This 2, 3, 4 students, 1 teacher, and my wife and I as well. Here's my lovely children here, actually. my daughter and my son, and then friends of ours. So we really did become a family, and we did things like this, and we really didn't, because everything we were reading on Facebook and our tweets and stuff was that the whole city was burning down. And I mean, it looked like there was a lot of fire around us, but certainly around us there was no actual fire. So the levity here in this picture, and this teacher here is on the phone with her mom in PEI, so just to give you a context of that. And before we had dinner, we sent the kids, my kids, over extra foods. Go get some food. And of course, what did I say? I said, well, it's locked, just break the window. Who's around? I'm a great leader, I can see that. They did. They came back with nothing. It was closed. We did lose the school's lunch. That lunch company lost some Gatorades that day. Anyway, so they walked back. But little did we know at that time how much was going on in the city. Like, we were kind of insulated. One of my secretaries, her husband is assistant deputy fire chief at the time, now fire chief now. So we had a pretty good line of communication about what we needed to do. So we stayed at the school. But it got to around 10 o'clock at night, and the family, there's about 5 families there, and still these 4 kids that don't have a family. We needed to make some decisions. What are we going to do with these kids? And yes, I'm in their lives lots. I have a good relationship with them, and so do the staff. Most of the staff were gone by then because they had to get out of the town too. But what are we going to do with these 4 kids? So around 10 o'clock, I phoned the police. Look, Mr. Rogers always said, when you're in a bad time, look for the people that help us, right? So I phoned the police. And trust me, getting through to the police on that day, not easy. Okay? So we get through and they're like, yes, we're going to we understand. Here, I gave the kids names. The parents had already taught them. I had talked to the parents already. They could not get back into town. Once you were evacuated, it wasn't like you could come back in. So there was an evac bus just behind us at the Extra Foods. It was one of the last pictures. That's where there was going to be an evac bus to take those kids, 3 of those kids, north to their parents and get them reunited. So I drove them in my car at 10:30 at night. And I can't imagine, I can't describe it. It's super smoky. And so we get to this spot. I get them on the bus. I say, talk to the police officer. This is what's going on. You're for sure getting them to, yes. One kid, parents had, and you can imagine, the parents in the room, you can imagine this. They had gone down to Edmonton for a medical thing, get their the mom's knee checked. Drop the kid off at school, they'd be back by dinner. So this girl was literally alone. She had no family in Fort McMurray. A girl I knew very well, we were superstar grade 9s, led the show, the play, she was in band, just an amazing person. Very close to that teacher I showed you as well. So she and the teacher went to her house and got her 2 dogs and 2 cats and brought them back to the school, but we're now left at 10:30. So I drop these other 3 off on the thing and I leave to come back to the school, and the police follow me with the lights and sirens, trying to figure out why I didn't get on the evac bus. Well, I'm not stopping. I peel it through the parking lots and they're chasing me down. I'm not stopping until we get to school. That's where my family is. So I get to the school and they come behind me, and what is quite possibly the worst part of the night is that they jam in the brakes behind me, skid to a stop, and I'm just getting out like, yes. And this police officer hops out of the car. He's a young police officer. I've never seen him since. And he says to me, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, I've got like 30 people in the school still. We need to kind of come back and make some decisions. Or, you gotta get out of the town, there's no home. Like, I'm not a professional at that kind of stuff. But there's no hope. And I literally almost started laughing, and I know that's not the right thing, but I was like, okay, well, you have a gun, so I'm going to listen to you. So we go into the school, and remember, we had a whole range of kids. We had some like 2 or 3-year-olds, but 5, 6, and then we had some teenagers. And we were getting ready for sleep. We were actually going to stay there the night, because the lady said in Preston was saying, stay there, it's just safer. And this guy comes in and goes into this room full of kids who are getting ready to go to sleep, and it says, there's no hope. And you could see his partner was a female police officer, and she's just like pulling her mask higher and higher over her face. So he needed some training on to do stress. So anyways, at that point we have to leave. So we have to load up, and there's how many kids left? There's a child left, right? This is now my child. Okay, so she is a part of my family. She brings her 2 dogs and 2 cats and comes in the car with me, and one teacher who you saw on the roof there, and in the other car is my wife and my 2 kids, and our 10 minutes of stop. Neither of us has more than a half tank of gas. Okay, it's 11:15 at night, and we leave the school, and we're going down Confed. I don't know if anyone's been to Fort Murray. At the bottom of Confed, you've got a choice. Left is north to the camps, which we've heard are places you can go. Right is Edmonton. Well, in 5 hours, usually. So we decided, no, let's get away from the fire. So as we're leaving town, this is the stuff you will see more of now, I think. These are not necessarily my pictures. This is a famous stock picture, but it is what we drove past. So this is the kind of the way around the city. There's a little drive freeway type thing around, and this was the fire that was raging as we left. I can tell you it's interesting. I've lived in Fort Murray for 20 years. It's my home. I absolutely love the town. I take quite a bit of honor in sharing that with people. It's a fantastic place, most giving community I've ever been a part of. It hurts a lot to see those and to drive through it. So as we left, so this was the one picture from our car. You didn't really want to take pictures, I'm going to be honest with you, as we were leaving, but this is just next to us, a very small piece of it. The best thing I can tell you is that it looked like lava. So we drove to, so we had talked to this girl's parents. So she's with us now. She has this black lab who was like 15 years old, and I'm pretty sure was dying. Right? Like, it's just like, eating my ear for quite a while. And then I think it was sitting on the other dog, because it wasn't making any noise. So we've got the zoo, and we're traveling along. And there's cars in the ditch, and people say that, I like to point out that this felt like a movie, but I always thought those movies were way overdone and over the top, but it was really happening. And there's buses parked across the middle, and people, it was just something else. You look to the right, the whole hill's on fire, and you look to the left, and there's nobody at Earl's or Tim Hortons. So you could have stopped and got a coffee, but it was close. So we drove out of town, and a drive of 25 kilometers to the turnoff at Anzac, which is normally like, I don't know, a 20-minute drive. We got there at 1:30 in the morning. So we left the school at 11:30. It took us 2 hours to get there. So we get there, and we know Emma is the girl's name. We knew her parents were there. They made it up that far. Police wouldn't let them any further. We knew that she was there somewhere, so we pulled over and decided to try to find her. So we get out and walk no more than 20 paces, and there's her mom sprinting across to get her kid. And anybody who's a parent can imagine what that moment was like to be a part of and to see. It's certainly something I won't forget at all from that night. Our journey continued down the highway because we weren't going to stay at the side of the road. We were less one person and 4 animals. But my family was still there, and this other teacher from my school, who really, we were her family. She's part of, Fort Murray is very big on people. Your family is people who live around you because everyone's from somewhere else. So this girl was definitely part of our family, and part of our blended family. And so we headed back, we decided to keep going. We ran out of gas. So we just drove. Now you can imagine now it's getting to 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. We've had the stress of this day of releasing 700 kids from school. We were getting a little bit tired. We heard finally they were giving some gas away at one of those route markers of the camp. So we stopped and got gas around 4:30 for at least a half hour. So we stopped for a half hour, and then we continued on and stopped at Grasslands. It's a little town that usually lots of people stop at, but the gas stations were packed, so we went to the school. Because school is always safe. And school was closed for the day because they knew people were coming in. And they were set up to take us there, and there was teachers there with food and change of clothes and a place for the kids to play. It gets back to that relationship piece. Like even in the midst of that chaos, a school that knew none of us took us in that day and just helped us out and got us to make the rest of that drive. So we left the school, remember, at 11:30 at night. We got to Sherwood Park, which is about a 4.5 hour drive normally, at 1:30 in the afternoon. So that's how long it took us, with a half-hour break for sleeping and in the gas to get there. And I just harken back to that whole relationship piece that, like, if that parent hadn't known me enough because of stuff that I had done, and the staff members enough that trusted us to take care of their kid, what would that moment have been like for that mom if she hadn't thought that? Coming home is another part of it. I'm not going to talk too much about the 5 weeks when you're away, but you can imagine being away from your house for 5 weeks, not knowing much, at least for the first week about what it was. And some of my kids' friends lost their homes, so they was dealing with that as well. And this was what we drove into when we came back. Very touching. These are the real heroes of that time, as well as our teachers as well. I always consider them as well. That was an emotional moment, listening to Phil Phillips' home as we drove underneath the Canada flag and then waving at us. But the work wasn't done then, because you come back and this is what you come back to at your school after something like this. This is the entire contents of our school in the gym. This was all marked for garbage. So this is people's, years and years of teacher resources and stuff like that. And the big point I had to make to my staff, and this is if you take one thing away from this as a teacher or as a parent, we didn't teach curriculum that day. We didn't teach this stuff. This is all great. We taught kids that day. And that's what we do. That's what teachers do. And those that get it, understand how we got through that day. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't something I want to do again. And this part made it extra hard when you got back, because it feels like you're losing stuff. But in the end, all of our kids made it out, and they were with their families, and they were safe. And you can look back and be pretty proud of that, for sure. And there's our home away from home. This was literally a couple days after I came back. There's still cleaners in the very corner. If you look, the scrubbers were cleaning the hallways. We're right down here. But the nice rainbow welcomed us home after I got back, and it really is my home. When Liam asked me to come do this, I was very proud to come and tell our story. Murray's is a fantastic place. I love sharing it. And I wanted to say a big thank you to everyone, because everyone opened up their arms or their wallets to help us out, and it was very meaningful for us. And a chance I get to say thank you, I do. But when he told me the date that I had to come speak on, I said to him, well, first of all, I got to check with my superintendent, because that's a pretty important date. And my superintendent was like, yes, go tell your story. It's super important to tell your story, and our story. And mine is one of many. I don't consider what I did to be heroic. I did what a lot of teachers did that day. And so he said, go tell that story. And I was fine with it. I was like, yeah, let him talk, and I'll tell the stories. That's great. And this morning, I'm sitting at my kitchen table, looking out the window, where 40 feet behind me is bark trees. And I'm eating my cereal, I got very emotional. And I couldn't believe I was going away today, of all days. And I never miss school. I'm one of those people that's at school all the time. My kids go there anyways, they live there. So it was tough. It was a tough decision, but seeing the other speeches tonight, Danielle's comments about how important the moments can be for the teacher, that's why I came. That's the stuff that I wanted to share. That there was, I've staffed almost 65. And they were all heroes that day, and I like sharing that story. They're one school of 26 in Fort McMurray. And there's a lot of stuff with the anniversary today. You can watch some tonight. There's a former student of mine did a documentary called This Is My Home, and I'm actually in it as well. And so you'll go see that online soon enough, but take a look for it. It's with Redline Media. And in the end, that's the last thing I'll say. It's just really seek the connection. Because without it, when you do get punched in the face, you're not going to know what works. And if you're all about the textbook, on a day like that, that's not going to get you very far. So I'd like to thank Liam and the organized committee, because this is the kind of stuff that we need to do more of, and this is the stuff that people need to see. This is where true change happens. So thank you very much for your time.